ANC Women's League elective conference has officially kicked off in Nasrec. Secretary General Aviwe Mtila, you saw earlier, opened it by addressing the delegates. Now he's urged them to stop fighting amongst themselves, and we've got the former league president Bathabile Dlamini, and she's going head-to-head with CC Tolashe for the presidential position. Mbalula also touched on how the ANC has managed to improve the country's economy. Senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is on the ground following the story and the developments thereof. A very good afternoon to you, Aviwe Mtila. And I've just had a conversation with a political analyst around the relevance of Bathabile Dlamini in the leadership of the ANC Women's League. And it's a little bit touch and go. She should probably be on the sidelines leading the young ones or guiding younger leaders into a prosperous future for the Women's League. What say you, and what are the views on the ground on her leadership and her contesting for that top position within the league?
Good afternoon, colleague. And you can't deny the weight that a leader like Bathabile Dlamini has, not only on the Women's League, but on the broader ANC and politics in general. Going from the struggle credentials on her days as the MK, one of the MK leaders, to just ushering in democratic South Africa and a role that she's had extensively in the ANC. So she has a lot of weight behind her. Even just what happened on even the Women's League conference not sitting would suggest the weight that she has. But of course, going against someone that's been quiet in the background. But if you are to go inside the plenary that we were in just moments ago, you'd hear the songs that are currently being sung about CCC Tolashe. That's one of the front runners, of course, for the presidency to take over Bathabile Dlamini, given the disbandment of the ANC Women's League itself. But don't rule out also from KwaZulu-Natal, Tembe Mchunu, the wife of the Water and Sanitation's Minister. So those are the top three contenders that we know of. But of course, that will still be delved upon once we get the official shortlist of the delegates. But it's day 2 of the Women's League conference here, the 13th National Conference of the Women's League. That is, of course, to elect its leadership here, top 5 positions, as well as 40 members that will be part of the leadership structures. We heard the opening address today by the Secretary General of the ANC, that's Aviwe Mtila. But just to delve a bit more on what's been going on, even yesterday we were told that there were issues regarding the Northwest Province, as we understood that 90% of the registrations were done yesterday, but it was the Northwest that in fact hadn't completed those registrations. Even earlier on, we had a press briefing with the Secretary General just moments ago, who confirmed that there was in fact a fight, a physical fight that broke out between 2 of the provincial TOS team members from the Northwest Province. Just to get more on this and understand what's going to happen even on that front, I am joined by the National TOS team convener, I beg your pardon, the spokesperson of the National TOS team of the ANC Women's League, that's Dina Bulema. Thank you for joining us at eNCA. But let's start with that fight between the Northwest PTT leaders. What led to that in your understanding, and what's going to happen?
Look, I wasn't there. However, at some point yesterday night, we were requested, I was one of those from the steering committee that was requested to go and look at what was happening and assist the situation at the registration point, because the Northwest had not yet registered. And I think my take of that whole thing is that you know, when comrades, they all want to go into the conference and the number is high. For an example, the PTT has been given 18 delegates to go to the conference, and the PTT itself is 23. So everybody says, who is going to be left out if you take the 18? We all want to go. So my take is that probably there's a fighting there. But it actually spilled on to other regions, because the PTT is at the level, at the provincial level. But then it spilled into the regional leadership until it caused the fact that they wouldn't have registered their delegates. So we went in there. We spoke first to with the regional leaders. We asked what were the problems, and only to find that there were no real issues that could make those comrades to fight. For an example, in Bujanala, there was nothing at all, except that there were about 5 branches that were not registered and about 2 members of the RTT. And when we asked why were you not registered, they said no, they said we must wait here until they finish other provinces. So that was not an issue that they can fight off. We then took them aside and then we took those branches. We asked the registrars to register them. And then we went to the next, which is Ngaka Modiri Mlema, the Mahikeng one. We found there was nothing at all also. But then because buses are taking people, the delegates at the same time, so buses refused that once a region has registered, they would take that region and take them home. They would wait for the other region. That's why you found that there was too many people at the registration point, even though many of them had registered. And then we went to Dr. Ruth Mompati. We found that there were a few challenges, about 3 branches that were not verified, that were not supposed to be here. And we spoke to the leadership and we spoke to the delegates themselves. And actually we spoke to all the delegates of the Northwest. And then we ended up with Dr. KK. That's where we found a bit of a challenge because those comrades were fighting a little bit. And I think the fight is about who goes in and who stays outside.
And then what happens to these 2 senior leaders of the provincial toss team in the Northwest that were actually physical fighting? What's going to happen?
Look, you listened to the SG. There is no way that members of the ANC at that level can behave in the manner that they have behaved and nothing happens. There must be some accountability of some sort. So the organization is going to try and find a way how to address it, because we can't leave it like that. Otherwise, it's going to spill on and we are going to find people fighting on a daily basis. We can't fight for conferences. The SG said, you can talk to each other, even if you don't support each other, even if I am standing and the other one is standing, we can negotiate. Maybe I can withdraw, the other could go on. Or if it doesn't allow that, we can do that. Let's go to the ballots. There's a vote there. Delegates will vote for the leaders that they want, and it's fine. And still after that, we still have to work together. Look, we're a family. We can't fight like that.
And just maybe quickly, because I'm actually told to wrap, but on the shortlist, do we know who the shortlist of the candidates that will be standing for positions are, and what's going to happen?
No, we don't know as yet. That is going to be known from now, because the credentials are going to be presented, and after that then the electoral committee will come in and announce, and the nominations from the floor will happen, and then voting will start. So that will happen tonight. We won't go here without having done that. So in a few minutes or so, 30 minutes or so, you will know what's happening.
Okay, in terms of the shortlist and the candidates that will be standing for those positions. Thank you very much. That's the National Task Team spokesperson, of course elected, appointed to just spearhead and ensure that this specific conference goes ahead. You heard there from Martin Apule that in fact by tonight we should know who is the leadership of the African National Congress's Women's League, colleague, as we do understand the front runners there being Mabatabile Dlamini, as well as CCC Tolashe, as well as Temeka Mchunu.